Hey guys, it's Tammy. Welcome to my channel. It's time for the November recap. What perfumes did I wear most in the month of November? Well, I'll tell you, after not being able to wear my perfumes or access them for the month of October when I had my sprained ankle and not being able to get up the stairs to see my perfume collection and choose what I wanted to wear, after being able to finally get up the stairs, which I can now do on my own, coming down the stairs is a whole other thing. Like, do you realize how far your foot has to bend in order to go downstairs? I never really realized until now, but I'm working on it. But once I got back upstairs and was reunited with my perfume collection and could go choose whatever I wanted to wear, these are the ones that I wore. So there were a few that I wore more than once, and at the beginning of the month I had just purchased Ana Abiyedh Scarlet by Lattafa. I had been testing and comparing this to Fetish La Rose by Christian Louboutin, and you can see that. I'll link those videos below. But once I received this, I sort of went on a little kick of wearing it quite a few times. I think I probably wore it 4 times. It arrived in time for Halloween, which is what I was hoping. I don't actually think I need to even take it out of this part for it to open. No, it just opens from the top. So yeah, I wore it for Halloween because it's a very Halloween scent to me. It is very like mysterious and very dark and deep and kind of sexy. So this is a cherry and rose and vanilla and caramel scent, and it's just so good. And my husband loves it on me every single time I sprayed it. Even back when I was testing and comparing Fetish La Rose with Ana Abiyedh Scarlet, every time I would spray either one of them, my husband was like, whoa, what did you spray? That smells so good. There's something about him he really loves, but when I got him to, you know, smell them side by side on my hands, he always preferred Scarlet. So I went ahead and purchased Scarlet. It got here. I wore it a lot. Absolutely loved it. I enjoyed wearing it so much. It was hard for me to not just wear this every day for the whole month of November. But after a few days, I'm like, okay, I gotta, like, I've missed my perfume collection. I gotta get back upstairs and see what I want to wear and, you know, reach for a few other things. There's one perfume that I reached for more than any other in the month of November. I wore it, I believe, 5 or 6 times plus a few nights to bed. So I probably wore it about 10 times, and that is Creed Eladaria. Absolutely love this fragrance. It's one of those ones that has become a new love for me, and it makes me so happy. The type of rose note that this has is, I want to say, it's such a soft and pretty type of rose, but yet it is done in a strong way. So you're not having to search for it and say, oh, let me put my nose right up to my skin so I can smell this rose. No, like, you smell the rose. It's a soft type of rose, but it's done in a strong, like, it performs so amazingly. And again, I still maintain the fact that this smells like an arrowroot baby cookie, but again, that's a soft smell. Like, compared to any other cookie, it's the most mild type of sweetness, but it's done in such a strong way that it's like, I've said this before, but it's like walking through the arrowroot baby cookie factory while they're baking, and you just smell it everywhere in the air. And you're, of course, holding the white roses, the bouquet of white roses, because you're the owner of the factory and you just received an award and they gave you roses. It just smells so pretty to me. Now, you have to love rose. You have to love the note of rose. Like, it has to be pretty much one of your favorite notes for you to enjoy this. But it's so powdery, so pretty, and I was enjoying this again so much that it was hard for me to take a break from wearing this. I wore this several days in a row, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna wear this for the rest of November. But again, I'm like, listen, I now have access to all my perfumes. I can go upstairs freely as I will through the day and not have to have my husband carry me up and take my walker upstairs. So I'm gonna go look through my collection, see what else I wanna wear. And funny enough, something that I actually wore twice this month, probably at least a week or 2 weeks apart, but there was 2 specific days that I was in the mood to wear a fragrance that is more of a spring fragrance, I find, but I was just drawn to wear it in November, and that was Eau Tendre by Chanel. And I do think of this as more of sort of a springtime scent, but there were a couple days that I looked across at my whole collection and my hand just went for it, and I just wanted to wear it. And I actually didn't wear it a lot in the spring or summer, so oh, it is so fresh. It's a pretty fruity floral. It's kind of basic, but I guess I was in a basic mood. I don't know. So a little bit of a surprising perfume to wear for November. but Eau Tendre, for some reason, I just was sort of drawn to wear it. So other fragrances that I wore more than once, one was Sissa by Mind Games, and I still only have a decant of it, and I'll show you the level that I'm at. It only takes maybe 3 or 4 sprays, and I find that these scent split sprayers, like they don't come out in a huge spritz, they come out in a little bit of a cloud, so you don't go through the product as quickly that way. But this was my travel fragrance. So I wore my black sweatshirt both days that I went away, and this is sort of my cozy black sweatshirt fragrance, and it's a warm, nutty, cozy, sweet vanilla. So I wore this both times I went away and once just around the house. So Sissa I wore 3 times this month. So now I'm gonna talk about my sort of after bath fresh combos. I would usually reach for my Bergamot and Hinoki lotion by Salt and Stone. And once I wore that layered with a new fragrance that I haven't really talked about. I don't think I've talked about this on here yet. And this is, you know how much I love Neroli though. And this is Neroli Oranger by Matiere Perfume. And this, oh, it's so good. Okay, if you love Neroli, if you know you love Neroli, which is a scent that's sort of like orange blossom, but more soapy and more green and, you know, a little bit lighter and more fresh. And the combination of wearing this with the Bergamot and Hinoki lotion, this made me feel so fresh and clean. Another after bath combo that I really liked was, of course, the Bergamot and Hinoki lotion with Rag & Bone Neroli. And I think this is discontinued. I don't think you can get a full bottle anymore, but they do have the decants on Scentbird. And so I actually ordered a backup decant from Scentbird of this because this one Neroli week when I had my note of the month for, I believe it was May, and Rag & Bone was my favorite Neroli scent. It just has the perfect combination of Neroli, oh my word, with just a little bit of florals, a little bit of woods. It's just so perfectly balanced. I love it so much. Another after bath combo I loved was my Phlur Missing Person lotion. This is almost empty. I don't even think you can get this anymore, but I just keep, you know, hitting the lotion to the bottom and like slamming on this until I get some out. And I layered it with Chiffon Fresh by Tahari. This I actually got for $16.99 at Winners or Marshalls. It is so pretty and fresh. You know, it's actually very, very similar to Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. Maybe a little hint more citrusy. So this is just so light and fresh and airy. I love to wear something really fresh after I have a bath or shower. Like I just like to feel like a breath of fresh air. So there were probably other combos that I did, but those are just the ones that I wrote down. There was actually quite a bit of cold weather in November here, and we even had a little bit of snow. So I did wear a few cozy fragrances. Now these are the ones that I just wore one time each. I wore Tiziana Terenzi, Al Contrario, which is another nutty, cozy vanilla, sort of like Sissa, but I find this more dessert-like. Like I find this smells almost like a brown sugar sauce cake or something, like a pudding cake. I don't know, it's just so, it's so gourmand, but it's still woody, and it's really, really cozy. So I wore this one time. I wore BYREDO Animalique, and the next day I wore Théo Cabanel Oh La La, because I kind of want, these two are so similar to me. One year in my top 10 for life, Oh La La made it, and then the next year Animalique made it. Now, when I wore them one day after the other, I found that I enjoyed the wearing experience of Oh La La more than Animalique. Animalique, it just sort of had a little bit of that plasticky sandalwood type of smell. Sandalwood isn't a note that is listed on Fragrantica for this, but it is listed on the BYREDO website for it. But I've always found these two so similar, and I do have to say that I did prefer wearing Oh La La when I did one day after another of wearing these two. Both very cozy, both warm, sort of tobacco, vanilla type of scents, so nice. And another tobacco scent that I wore was Nirvana Amethyst by Elizabeth and James. This is another discontinued one, and I just had this on the list to wear for so long. And I wore it one day, and it was really, really nice. My husband even liked it on me. I thought he would find it a little too woody or something, but he really liked it. I wore Carolina Herrera Good Girl. It had been so long since I had worn this, and I really enjoyed it. Now, I have heard the new Forever Mood fragrance, She Was Here, compared to this. And if you saw my Sephora sale video, you know that I really wanted to get She Was Here for a specific reason. And she is here. She Was Here is here. I did get it. And I compared them, and I did understand how people could see that they were similar, but to me, Good Girl is much more rich and more creamy. I get more chocolate in here, I get more coffee in here, I get more warmth, more richness, and more roundness in this fragrance, whereas She Was Here is a little bit more sharp. I found it a little bit more comparable to Jimmy Choo, I Want You. So anyways, I really enjoyed wearing Carolina Herrera Good Girl. Just wore that once. I wore Navitas Lost in a Dream. I have the body spray that I got from my friend Kathy. Thank you so much, Kathy. And this is very similar to my Games Sissa, very similar to Tiziana Terenzi Al Contrario as well. You could tell, like, I kind of, you know, have a theme of fragrances that I really like, these sort of nutty, lactonic type of vanillas. And all three are very similar to Commodity Milk Bold. I feel like that is a more well-known one that people would have smelled. If you're wondering, like, kind of like, what is she talking about a nutty vanilla, a nutty lactonic cozy vanilla? Well, if you have smelled Commodity Milk Bold, specifically the Bold, the plus version, then that is what they smell like to me. I also wore Ode to Dullness by Juliet Has a Gun, a very cozy powdery scent that is quite heavy on the aniseed or anise or anise. I'm not sure how people say it, but this is a really snuggly scent. If you don't mind that little hint of a black licorice vibe, a very softened version of black licorice, Ode to Dullness, so nice. Another cozy scent that I only wore one time as well was Scandale Le Parfum, and this is more of a root beer scent. To me, it's very vanilla and root beer, like a sort of a powdery, cozy vanilla and root beer dessert sort of smell. And every time I wear this, I wonder, is this a little too sweet for me? But then when I wear it, I really enjoy it. So those are all of my sort of cozy scents that I wore on the colder days. Now, did I have a note of the month for November? Well, I didn't do quite as in-depth of a note, you know, study in a certain note as I usually do, but I do have to say that I am still on the lookout to find a perfect cherry scent. The more I test cherries and look for something that I really like, the more I'm like drawn to try more, and the more it's sort of growing on me as a note. And I think what set that off was the Fetiche La Rose, which I loved, and ended up getting the Ana Abiyedh Scarlet. And knowing that cherry can work for me, it sort of, you know, compelled me to test some more cherry fragrances. So I will call cherry my note of the month for November, because I did test several cherry scents. I didn't go through my entire collection of samples like I usually do and find every cherry scent, but there were some cherry samples that I had in mind that I wanted to compare and wanted to test. And I did end up getting a travel size of one of them, and it is my favorite one. So starting with Navitas Venom of Love, the two samples that I have are now, I would say, pretty much officially empty. I can kind of get the smell of it just by smelling it from the cap. But the thing with this was I could never smell the chocolate in it. I could only smell the cherry. The cherry really took over the fragrance. And that's usually my problem with cherry, is either it goes a little medicinal for me, like cherry cough medicine, or the cherry just takes over and all the other notes are hidden by the cherry. So I confirmed the fact that I still do not smell the chocolate in Venom of Love. I know most people do, but I just don't. I can't. My nose somehow, the cherry is blocking me from smelling the chocolate. All I can smell is the cherry. The other one I compared, and I have it written down somewhere and I can't find the piece of paper where I wrote everything down, but I do remember that I compared that one to Cherry Punk. And I did like Venom of Love better than Cherry Punk. I remember when I wore Cherry Punk once, it was this sample, and I remember coming downstairs and wearing it, and my husband and I were playing a game of crib here at the table, and I remember him mentioning it 2 or 3 times, like, what did you say you were wearing again? Like, he really loved it. I think he's really drawn to cherry scents. But this time when I was wearing it, I was comparing it to other fragrances, and the leather really was a little strong for me. Now, smelling it from the cap right now, I'm like, ooh, I actually quite like this. And I almost feel like I can almost detect a little bit of a chocolatey vibe in this. I'm sure it's not even a note that's listed, but I get more of it than I do in Venom of Love. So Cherry Punk, like, I did find it a little, maybe a little too leathery. I already own Love Fest Burning Cherry, and I still have, you know, quite a bit left in it. This has always been one that I actually really did love. I love the type of woodiness that's in here. And the cherry isn't quite as strong as it is in some other fragrances. Now, another one that I compared while I had it, I did return it, is one that I mentioned to you in my Sephora sale video that I was going to be getting because I am kind of drawn to it. And that was Cherry Ambition by the 7 Virtues. And once I got it and started testing it and comparing it to other cherry scents, I found it's actually very similar, not in the opening, but in the dry down, very similar to Love Fest Burning Cherry. Too similar to keep it. And in fact, I liked Love Fest better than Cherry Ambition. But the one that worked for me the best is one that I don't find many people really like, and that's Phlur Cherry Stem. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is the one for me. This one has such a bright, happy cherry in the opening. It's not too candy-like. It's more of a realistic, just fruity cherry to me. It's not shampoo-y. I love the woodiness in this fragrance. And you know what? In the dry down, this one goes a little bit chocolatey, and this reminds me of a chocolate cherry. Cherry chocolate, what do you call it? Chocolate cherry or cherry chocolate? Here in New Brunswick, we have a company called Ganong, and they make cherry chocolates, chocolate cherries, cherry chocolates. And they are probably my favorite Christmas candy of all. They don't have a liqueur in them. It's just like a sugary, almost like a white creamy syrup that's in them. I don't like the ones that have liqueur in them. They just are too overwhelming for me. I just like sugar, more sugar the better. But Ganong cherry chocolates are my favorite Christmas candy. And in the dry down, that's what this reminds me of. It's what I was hoping to get from Venom of Love. That's what I was just dreaming that I would get. And not at first, but in the dry down, that's what Cherry Stem reminds me of. To me, it's so pleasant to me. I think people really struggle with this, and they're probably picking up a little something that I'm not quite getting. I don't even know what notes are in this, and I don't have my iPad on hand, so I'll just have to guess. Would it be written on the box? Probably not. It would be so fun if, I like it when companies do put the notes or the main accords on their box or on their packaging, and this doesn't have it. My sister actually got this for me for my birthday. She called me one day when she was in Sephora, and she said, is there anything that you've been like wanting lately? Like, is there anything I can pick you up for your birthday? And I said, well, I have a sample of Phlur Cherry Stem and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm thinking about moving up to a travel. So yeah, I got a travel size of Cherry Stem for my birthday, and this is one of my most successful cherry finds so far. And of course, Scarlet, I love this for a cherry scent. This is a whole different direction. This one is very like grungy and dark and scary, and I love it. And this is more like happy and chocolatey and fruity. I don't find this challenging at all. I find it to be the perfect cherry scent for me. So those are the fragrances that I wore most in November. Let me know in the comments what you wore most in November. I would love to know. I really appreciate you guys joining me today. Thank you so much for taking your time and spending it with me. And I will see you next time. Bye.